what are the things that you can do to improve the value of your home that has everything to do with the exterior of the house, the landscaping, the approach, all of that. That is what we are covering today. And we have, I believe, 16 different places on your home that you can work on just on the exterior that we think will help you improve the value. If you're thinking about selling now, you're thinking about selling in 10 years, you just don't want to destroy the value of your home. Maybe destroying it, but damaging it maybe by making some choice that might impact a future sale. So I am Megan Brenwhite. I'm the head of the Upstate Curious team of Keller Williams Realty, Hudson Valley North. I'm an associate real estate broker. And we have here Katie Port, who is a listing agent on the team, also a licensed real estate salesperson. And those are our legal designations that one has to say very clearly at the beginning. And we work in, we sell homes and represent buyers in about 9 counties, everything in the Hudson Valley and Catskills. We work with largely a lot of second home buyers. So second home buyers are sort of dual residents of the city and the Hudson Valley Catskills region. And just to give you a little bit of context, because it's kind of rare that there's one team that works in so many places. So when we're talking about this, I'll just give you a little context about who are the buyers that we're trying to appeal to and the areas that we work in. So I would say, without further ado here, we came up with this 2-part series, and we're going to have a second one on, what you can do to improve the interior to get your house ready for selling, or just to improve the value of your home. And we split it into 2 parts. And now, again, we realize today it could be about a 50-part series, but we wanted to do the exterior first, partially because it's March. And until a minute ago up here, it looked disgusting. Now it looks like winter wonderland again, and everything looks beautiful. But, I know a lot of people are looking to, get their homes ready for selling in the spring. We're working with a lot of sellers who are going to list stuff with us in the spring. And, when we thought about what are the things, and we asked the buyer's agents on our team too, like, what are the things that really impact someone's perception when they pull up to a house before they open that door? Because, what people say now is the first viewing is online, where people decide if they're going to go even see it or not. So, and then before they get in the house, that is 100% the first impression, is there, when they drive up, that is how they're going to feel. Every time they drive up, there are some things you can change, some things you can't. So what we're going to talk about is actually like what you could do if you're about to sell your house, and what you could do if you're just thinking for later, because some of the things will actually impact photos, which is interesting because of the exterior, the impact of the exterior on that very first online showing or videos, which is sometimes surprising that you have to think about things like your roof in a different way when it comes to photography. Oh, aren't you interested in that topic? A little surprise hint here. So I think that, Katie, if you want to just sort of give a couple tips on how to see your house like a buyer, because I think that is really important.
Sure. I think one thing that you want to do if you're thinking about selling is shift how you approach your house and start to, when you're pulling in your driveway, normally you're like super distracted and you're like getting home from work and you're not thinking about what does the driveway look like and what is the lighting like. But if you can sort of designate some time to come home as though it is the first time you are pulling into the driveway. Megan and I were just saying you could even have a friend come and do this with you, just for this sort of like first look, fresh eyes. What am I seeing? Because I know that I don't see really anything between the front seat of my car and my front door because, we're busy. So I think that just to sort of integrate that into your routine, to start to pay attention to your house as though you're seeing it for the very first time.
Yeah. And I think and this is going to be true in the interior also, because most of us get blind to all of the things, like the weird patch on the wall that you've been meaning to fix forever. That's a thing. The kind of like uncomfortable spot you have to leave your shovels all the time because you haven't found a good spot yet.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about was that we also probably don't every day use the entrance that buyers and agents are likely going to be using when they come to see your house. We might park in a carport or in a garage and use a side entrance, but buyers and agents are absolutely walking up to your front door. It's where the lockbox is going to be. It's what they're going to see. So they're taking a path that maybe you have not walked in like 5 or 10 years on a regular basis. So, what are your steps like? What is your lighting like? What is your railing like? Just, really shifting your routine into the buyer mindset.
That's super helpful. And that is absolutely something that we will that we as agents do. The listing agent will do when they go to the home, you know what I mean?
1,000%.
That is a huge part of our role, is to like put ourselves in that buyer mindset. And then, that's how we know that people don't notice a lot of things. We don't, it's human. So we wanted to cover like a bunch of topics, kind of like do like a speed round almost of like, we'll switch between me and Katie talking about these different areas of the house that you can work on. And then we can go into some questions. And again, like if we see that there's a ton of interest in something, we could absolutely do an entire Zoom on it at some point, or also always happy to answer questions on an individual basis, or have, like I said, one of the listing agents come to the house. Even if you're thinking about selling it 3 years from now, it's better for us to come if you're planning something major. We're happy to give advice on that. There's no, to sign anything with us or anything like that. So I'm going to kick us off with our bonus topic, which I decided to put up front, which we were calling special features. It's kind of like buyer eye candy, clickbait, in real life clickbait for buyers. So, and again, clickbait because they're going to see it online first. So these are things that you can do for probably $200 in an afternoon. So create a fire pit area, even if it is a pile of wood with 3 plastic chairs around it in a lovely spot to help people imagine themselves there. Hang up a hammock. Make sure you have cute little places to eat maybe, or sit around the yard, like little different destinations. Put string lights anywhere and everywhere, because a home changes from a house to a magical, like nature wonderland, vacation, relaxation destination with the addition of string lights. It is truly one of the easiest things you can do that has the biggest impact. And we see also when we're choosing photos to put up, these are the kind of things that we always feature if someone has like a sauna or anything like that. And when we're listing something, even if we're listing something in the middle of winter, we will always ask sellers if they have great photos from the summer, fall, whenever, and we will add those photos to the listing so that people can see these little exterior moments. So that's your like bonus right up front in case you can't listen for long. Katie, paint color, big topic. Is it painted black, or do we have other opinions?
I think it doesn't all have to be painted black, but I think just, the exterior is a huge part of the first impression. So if you are up for painting your whole house, go ahead and paint it black, but also just look for areas that are going to, catch the eye in a negative way. Are there areas that need to be power washed? There's a lot you can do between nothing and a full exterior paint. So, sort of assessing what's going to have the cleanest, least distracting view of the exterior of your home. I think black is obviously gorgeous and beautiful and striking in, all these beautiful nature settings, but we can definitely look at every house and tell you, is it paint the whole thing? Is it power wash? But what do you think about black paint, Megan? Owner of
all homes that are painted black or dark navy. I think that I think that what black paint does is it indicates immediately to someone, oh, actually, this is a good point. For the multiple listing services, which go on Zillow,
Yeah.
the major ones, you have to show the front door as the photo. You cannot lead with an interior shot. So that means that like an exterior shot is going to be, is another reason why the exterior is so important, going to be the main thing that shows up on all of like Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com. I think that a black house or a house that has something that looks kind of modern outside indicates immediately I should click further because this is going to look cool inside. And that is the most important reason potentially to do it, is that it gets you to see further. I don't think that some houses that are like Victorian, some farmhouses, I think can look kind of weird black, honestly. So that's where like looking at something like a classic white, but then maybe having like modern door numbers or something else that gives like a quick indication of like, this is a design, this is a considered design choice is really what's important.
And a contrasty front door can also be, you know, like a fun color front door can also indicate we've recently put some contemporary effort into this home. And those pictures are going to be, you know, eye-catching with like a nice, cute, bright yellow front door or something like that.
And I think that, so then the next topic is siding, which I can take quickly because a lot of people end up, you know, a lot of people have vinyl siding and they sort of debate, like, should I switch it to wood? Should I get hardy plank, which is like this kind of expensive cement board stuff that lasts forever, is already pre-painted. I would say that it really depends on the price point of the home. So if your house is gonna, like, if you're gonna be listing it at some point for like $350 or something, you can absolutely have vinyl siding. If you have a home that is gonna be listing at $850, you probably do not want to have vinyl siding. So I think this is a price point issue. Siding can also, not interestingly, vinyl siding can't be painted dark colors because it can actually melt. Is that yours, Katie? Or is it I don't know how to mute everybody else. Okay, I'm gonna try to mute everybody else. Doing it. Did it. So that's another consideration. I do think that fresh or really good looking siding, okay, so here's the other thing that happens. You walk up to a house, it has beautiful siding. It looks all fresh and clean. Everything looks great from the exterior. I think your brain goes into the house. I'm sure it does, and the buyers do, going, this is a well-maintained home. This is a well-maintained home, which in my brain is all of a sudden like less worried about the electrics and the plumbing and the septic and the well and everything. So this is another reason to think about that.
That's sort of what I was saying when there's a lot between doing nothing and a full overhaul, is that these little things, if you're not going to paint your whole house, address little areas, because they are the first indications of how your home is maintained.
And you can repair siding also. So that's the other thing, is that like, if you have a little problem, you can also just repair it. So next topic, roof. Katie.
Well, one thing I was thinking about with the roof as we were preparing a listing that went live yesterday was how aerial shots are now a major part of what we do for a lot of reasons. It's an, you know, interesting view of the house and the property, a really nice area, a nice way to see the surrounding area. But the top of your roof is probably not something you see every day, but will be the center of that aerial shot. So power washing your roof, cleaning your gutters, things like this will impact that shot. Again, you know, yeah. So.
And I think the same thing with the maintenance. Like a lot of times, I mean, a lot of inspections, people will say, oh, there's some moss on the roof.
Right.
You know, you just need to power wash that off. It's like that, those kind of things ideally would just be done really before somebody comes, you know, before we take photos, before a buyer comes and sees it. Because if the buyer doesn't see it, the inspector might. So there, you know, there are different levels of this. Oh, do we have preferences of roof types? Yes, standing seam metal roofs always, but they're so expensive. That's my preference. Katie, what about you?
I would say that is also my preference. But, you know, buyers love to hear that a roof is in great shape. So, you know, it's like one of the number one things that is going to flag on a report as like scary if there's a lot of comments on the roof. So a roof that is in good shape, that has like another 10 to 20 functional years is my favorite kind of roof.
Well, and this is Nicole asked about the color too. And this is where, again, like, so everything that we say, and this is what we do in the listing appointments also, is go like, in a perfect world, you would do this.
Yeah.
And here's the like 0. And this is the impact on the sale price. So it doesn't even mean you have to do anything.
Yeah.
It's just like helping you understand if you don't do anything with this one thing, it will probably impact the sales price by this.
But an inspector will always point out moss on your roof, will always point out that your gutters are full of leaves. So there's a lot of stuff you can just get ahead of that, you know, is pretty easy.
And we ask for, I mean, always ask, and we always, I mean, and every agent submitting an offer will say, how old is the roof? So if your roof is getting near to the end of its life, like that is something that's going to come up, and you will want to either mention that in advance so that people can't negotiate that. So you're just saying like, hey, this is, you know, this part's not really negotiable. It's been priced in. But yeah, as Katie said, like having a, you know, even an asphalt shingle roof that has 30 years plus a warranty, especially if they're, you know, architectural shingles, those ones last really a long time. That's fine. And Nicole, I mean, this is personal, and hi, by the way, but I love a black house with a black metal roof. So, you know, that's it. But I also love like a navy house with a silver roof. It's like a farmhouse. You know, our little cottage in Willowweemuck that we have is navy blue with a red not standing seam, just regular metal. And I think it looks friggin' adorable. We kept the sort of rust colored red metal. And just so you know, standing seam is like a special way of producing a metal roof that is very, very, very hardy and strong and way more expensive than just like a regular metal roof. But I like, you know, metal roofs also are just, they just seem so sturdy. They are sturdy. Okay, but yeah, Katie, what about you? Do you have any color preference?
I like a dark green metal roof.
Oh, dark green. I like dark green asphalt shingles too, and they almost don't sell them anymore. That's what our roof is here.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish they did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like dark green with a white house.
Oh my God, love dark green also. Yeah. It's
Obviously.
Upstate Curious branded.
Gonna say kind of our thing.
I know. Okay, next, we can front door. What would you say about the front door? Katie, do you like a front door with a lot of details and ornate, you know, basically stained glass-esque things from the 1990s? Is that our vibe?
No, I like a simple, sturdy, solid wood front door. As I said, maybe painted a bright, catching color, eye-catching color. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of the things that's also pretty easy to change, you know, so, and it is a major trigger for people when you have one of those doors that do look like they're from the 90s. Like literally people freak out, like the house at Ellenville that Scott and I will be working on 100% has one of those doors, and it is very triggering.
Also a door that's full glass, but modern. It
Yes.
can have an excellent way to let light into an entryway that feels dark. So it doesn't have to be solid wood, but something that feels modern and considering the space you're walking into. That can be a great way to add some extra light to like.
And obviously, if you have a historic home and have some beautiful like ornate, you know, historic door, that's also great. I think this is another thing that doors, we can talk about interior too, but there's something about the door and the quality of the hardware for your door that is like, this is where feel and acoustics even start to make a difference, where you start to like feel how heavy a door is. You feel the material of the handle and like how it opens and stuff. And it's actually one of the first things you hear in a home is how you're getting into that. So that's also weirdly something to kind of consider. And this is also where a buyer is going to see for the first time if you have any kind of a smart lock, which a lot of people really love to be able to control from other places. And I do think that smart lock systems would be something, if you add that to a door, it's also an indication of like, I'm a high tech kind of seller, you know. Yeah, and the fun colors can be anything. I saw a house with a pink door the other day that I love. Oh, here we go. Kathy just wrote that she
Hmm.
chose the lightest silver gray shingles for the roof. Oh, black and cedar
Oh,
shake house. Yes,
yeah.
thank you. You could do a cedar shake house also all day long. Love that. Yeah, that's interesting too. So yeah, the light shingles don't heat as much as the dark. Yeah, black metal roof is going to get flamingly hot all summer. It'll help in winter, but like in summer, it's going to be a problem. And we should talk about, I mean, Tesla has the Tesla roof tiles that look like shingles too. So that's another, and hopefully more people will build things like more companies will build things like that where your whole roof can actually be
A solar
a
panel.
solar panel. Yeah. Okay. Next topic is me, mailbox. Again, you're like, who cares about my mailbox? You don't care about your mailbox. Maybe. I don't know, unless you're like me and married to someone who's like a minimalist and cares about all of it. So again, one of the first things you're going to see, just get the simple mailbox, have it on a nice post. If you have like a rickety mailbox on a crappy post or like a plastic weird mailbox, hey, I'm all for, you got like a vintage cute house and your mailbox has like gnomes all over it. God bless. Like we're leaving that one. But like it is another thing that you have to just think about. And especially like where it is, this may be something you think about for the photos, or maybe something that you think about for when somebody drives up. But it's also one of the easiest, least expensive changes you can make to have a mailbox with some nice like numbering, like modern numbering on the side. So you can get stickers that are just like a nice sans serif sticker, even that makes it look very chic.
It's also another place to put your address, which sometimes people come up, they don't know exactly where they are. It's really reassuring when you are not second guessing as you're pulling into a driveway if you are in the correct place. So
Yeah, that is true. It's actually kind of funny, like when we're trying to put our signs up, because it's up, because it's upstate, like they could be like the signs could be in like a weird place compared to the driveway, and Google could be telling you the wrong thing. And that is a little bit harder than you would think sometimes. So next topic, parking slash garage.
One thing I was thinking about with that, I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that if you are not parking every day where a group of buyers might be parking, to just take a minute and consider that space. One thing is that, if we're hosting an open house, there might be more people coming than have visited, especially over the last 2 years. So think about maximizing places that people can park, figuring out if there's easy ways for people to turn around, just sort of like considering your whole driveway as a future parking lot for a future open house. And then again, just thinking about what are you seeing when you park? What are your headlights hitting? Is it landscaping? Is it a pile of seasonal debris like at my house? Like move your snow shovels somewhere else. Just thinking about how easy it is to pull in that driveway and make it to the front door, especially if you're someone who, good for you, pulls into a garage. But that's not likely going to be how buyers are going to be approaching the house.
Well, we did have one question about blacktop versus gravel that got sent an email, and this is actually, I'm team gravel and Katie's team blacktop, so we can take the two different sides of this. And I just think gravel's pretty. I don't care about the practicality. So that is my side. Gravel is a pain in the butt because it's way cheaper than blacktop, but you have to maintain it every year, essentially. Like the snowplow pushes the gravel, a ton of it, like out of your driveway and into somewhere in your yard. And then you have to like push it back, and then you have to top it up with new gravel occasionally. To me, it's worth it for how it looks. Katie?
Well, you just basically made all of the points on my side of the argument. Because I was a part-timer, I only came up on weekends for a long time. Being able to pull in my driveway easily on a Friday night, knowing that a plow could very easily, just sort of lower maintenance is what I think that asphalt is a little bit lower maintenance. And when I was splitting my time, that was really important to me. Gravel is prettier, but I think maybe I just tend towards the more practical.
Well, and I have heard that blacktop also needs to be maintained. So it
Of
does,
course,
like, as
just
things
not,
expand and
yeah,
contract. And
absolutely. 1,000%. Yeah.
so that's where I always kind of like get a little,
Yeah. It also depends on the size of your driveway and how much, a very long blacktop driveway is going to be quite expensive and more maintenance. So, yeah.
and a very long gravel driveway, especially if you're going like uphill or something, is going to be a major pain in the butt. So
Yeah.
P.S. driveways are a thing. So, like, this is one of those things that, like, in everybody's perfect world, aesthetically, I think for most of our clients, you would have a super long driveway that's like winding and picturesque that gets to a home that's like all by itself and like a beautiful setting. As a homeowner, who's paying for plowing generally, that and maintaining the driveway, that's a pain, and if you're buying land and thinking about that long, beautiful driveway and where it goes, that can be tens of thousands of dollars very easily.
Also, again, if you're a weekender or if you're using your home as an Airbnb, easy accessibility is really important,
Yeah. And I would say that, like, when Katie said that, I think an interesting point is when Katie said that, picture your parking as having enough space for an open house. And again, like right now, you could not, because there's like 8 million people coming to every open house. We just changed ours back to kind of registration only because we are getting so many folks coming. There's a very hot market right now, if you haven't heard. So that's also good when people see a lot of parking, then they're like, oh, great, when I have my family over or when I have friends over or whatever, we don't have to worry about it. Like where I live here, I'm on a tiny private like road that you cannot park on because it's just like one lane. So if we had to eventually, after we moved here, remove some extra trees and expand the parking, because otherwise, if we had more than like 3 cars, they would have to like drive out to a main road and park on the side of that road and then walk to our house. I didn't think about that right away, but I think other people would have. Okay. Oh, the next one, decking. This one's mine, coincidentally, but love a deck. I would say that there's so many off-color jokes I can make right now, but I'm not going to. But people like as much deck as possible. Like that is basically it. It's just like the bigger the better. How do I talk about this? It's true. It's really true. Like even if you have the option even to use like the standard like length of like plywood to build a deck, which I think is like 16 feet or something for those, and it's like 12 feet. Like if you have like any amount of decking extra you can have is better. People love it. If it's multi-tier, better. If it's whatever, if it has dedicated areas to be used as like an outdoor space, you're like, oh, here's the living room part of my deck. Here's the kitchen-y part of my deck. In a perfect world, you would have, it could also be patios. This is kind of the same thing. But a lot of people like to spend a lot of time outside here. And that is because, again, for our clients, it's in contrast to life in the city where they may not have any outdoor space, or that people are drawn up here because it is this beautiful nature. And so you want to have a ton of possibilities to be outside. Now, I would say that 99% of the decks we look at are just like, pressure treated plywood. They're not fancy like Ipe, like exotic hardwood decks that are good for outside, and that's fine. Painted decks, I think, look amazing. We had a client who painted their existing deck black and it looked phenomenal. You have to paint it almost every year though. So that feels like I don't know, it's just a commitment, it really, 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 really looks good. And I think that one of the things that I like for railings for decks actually it's called hog fencing. So I don't know if you guys want to just Google that, hog fencing, like hog fence railings, but it's very simple, like black, usually, like I like the ones like black metal grid with wood around it. It is even simpler to me than like the cable fencing. It just kind of disappears and it looks modern, and you can buy the panels at like Home Depot. So, but this is where like people, like, again, the inspector is going to like put your deck under a microscope 100%. They're going to look at the railings. They're going to look at the railing, how you get on and off the deck. They're going to look at the weathering of it. So this is good to do any repairs for sure. But again, if you have the option to like, if you're building something and you're like, we could make it larger and blah, 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 just the answer is yes, always. Oh, Ed just asked if anybody does heated driveways, and that is really uncommon here. I've seen that only in like super luxury homes, and actually almost even then only like once, but that would be so helpful. And I don't know why we don't do them here. So fencing.
So fencing can function in a lot of different ways. You know, if you're, the main thing that we talk about a lot, and this comes up with when you approach the property, is privacy and how many neighbors can you see? What do you see? So one type of fencing can just be sort of, you know, dedicated areas of fencing to create a different view than what is already there. So if you have a very close neighbor, that is going to be the primary feedback that we hear from buyers.
Actually, at Four Burger, that house, I mean, that's a really good example of a home that like our seller was like, I'm going to put the fence up later. I'm going to finish it later. And we had it on the market and it just didn't sell. He put the fence up, put it on the market, had multiple offers.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, that there's a neighbor right there. They're probably maybe even a really nice neighbor, but nobody wants to, everybody's coming up with this sort of idea of privacy in mind. So that is a really awesome function of fencing. And then I put fencing in like what Megan described as the railing, the hog fencing. I fenced in about an acre to have like a great yard for my dog. And that hog fencing makes it so you have still unobstructed views into the woods. That's like the fencing to keep your views, but keep somebody in or out. So yeah, there's primarily I'd say for privacy. But yeah, think about gardens, deer, dogs.
Here, I'm getting a picture of hog fence. Well, I can't find a good picture. I'm trying to find one. Oh, here's a good one. I'm gonna see if I can like add a picture to this thing.
Hog fencing also for me ended up being a really economical choice. I didn't know that I wanted that until the fence person gave me a quote for like a solid cedar fence. But it turned out to be a great, you know, I can still see clear into the woods, and, you know, that the view that is nice is not obstructed.
And we have also just like wide horizontal slats.
Yeah.
You know, just plywood that's going to need care and attention because it is just plywood also, but that is, I think that's another kind of option.
One thing I'll say about fencing is different towns have different ideas about fencing. So if you are going to do something drastic or, you know, kind of unique to the area, you know, it's just, it's not a bad idea to just call, you know, the town and find out. There's usually just a little blurb somewhere about height and property lines and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would probably call it, fencing is one of the ones where, yeah, the setback requirements can be different. And actually the house that we just mentioned where the seller put the fence up and it looked amazing. And then we sold it. He had to take, if it turned out the town had approved it, but then they said that one side had to be not more than 4 feet tall. So he had to take one side down.
Right.
Like,
yeah, there's different height requirements. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a good one to check on. It's like landscaping. I'm going to skip that one. That's like too big. We're just going to like
plant everything.
Yeah, no.
And everything forsythia blooms first.
Plant everything forsythia blooms first. If it will, okay, I'll do the quick version of landscaping. The quick version of landscaping is if you're about to put the house on the market or we're going to sell it, then you can absolutely plant amazing little things that are already blooming. You know, you can throw some annuals in everywhere to give it color and think about how it looks with your fancy new painted front door and all that stuff. What buyers really love is to have like actual perennials and things that are low maintenance, because that is something that we can sell and be like, look, you don't even have to do anything. And these flowers are going to pop up every year, but they're only going to see it at one moment in time. So they probably won't appreciate that as much as just like what it looks like in the moment when you're trying to sell. So I would do the landscaping how you like it. I think that what, you know, forsythia is actually, even it's I think that officially counts as an invasive species now, even though I
You're
love
right.
it too,
It
but
does.
like it works as a privacy fence.
Yeah.
That is what it also grows super quickly, and it's those bright yellow flowers that look amazing in early spring. So I think that that is something you could just do kind of what you think is good. And even if you have a privacy issue, even planting small trees, like small, quick growing trees can help to be like, look, there's like 10 quick growing pine trees that are like, have already been planted here. So in 10 years, you won't have this problem. Quick growing is a relative concept, I would say. Okay. And landscaping could be 100% a whole Zoom. So we're gonna switch to a couple smaller topics like your windows.
Take your screens out and wash your windows. It will make a big difference inside and outside. Yeah, much cleaner view. It's not something I really thought about for a long time, but it actually makes a huge difference, and in photographs as well.
And again, being married to a total minimalist, we do not have screens in any of our windows, and just like let the bugs fly in when they want to, basically, because he like hates looking through screens at anything. So it makes way more of a difference than you can imagine. And especially like at certain times of day, the light will actually illuminate the screen, so you really can't see outside. And and especially I would say at least take the screens out of the windows of places that are like important, where you have a view, or like the kitchen window, if somebody's looking at that a lot. That I think is really important. And this is also where I would say to pay for a professional window cleaner. We do that actually a couple times a year at our place now, and they do the skylights, and we have, tall windows that we can't reach, but they also clean our regular windows like 1,000 times better than we ever possibly could. And so that makes a big difference. So we have one company that we recommend, but I know there are others. This is the moment I would probably do that. Garbage bins. What do you do with your trash? I think you should take this one too. I just talked about windows.
I mean, the main thing is just, obviously they are a functional part of our everyday life, but for the pictures, for the open houses, just keep them somewhere out of sight. If they go into the garage, behind the house, tucked away, behind a shrub, behind the forsythia bush that maybe I shouldn't have told you to plant. When we get pictures back, it's just, that's something that does not need to be showcased. But again, because we need them every week, we might forget, our blinders are on to them. So.
And some people do build nice little garbage can enclosures.
Sorry, my addendum was, yeah, you can also build a really nice little like trash bin shed.
Which is good for the bears too. But then you have to be ready to take it out of there and take it to the side of the road when the trash people come. So, okay. So another one is seasonal debris. So it's like, yeah, I mean, this is really where it's like, if you have like a bunch of like right now there's a ton of down branches everywhere because of like the ice storm that just happened. And like, as soon as the snow melts, they'll be like, might be like, if you have a dog, let's just say some things emerge from the snow melt.
You know where you're going.
So you want to just look around and see and if it's like spring, like maybe time to put your shovel away, from where it was. And just like that kind of stuff it's important just to look at that. This is just routine maintenance that every house needs, and the land needs it, but it doesn't always happen right away. And you'll see sometimes things are not so well maintained. So Katie, if you want to do lighting, and then do you have anything else to say about the debris? To say that in British.
No, just that shovels, rock salt, just, yeah, we need it, but nobody needs to see it.
And also don't be like me and leave your summer, leave your summer deck stuff out all winter.
Right.
Like I look at that every day and I'm like, why did I do that? Now the snow's too deep to put it somewhere.
Yes.
It wrecks the views, and it makes the photos look stupid because you have this beautiful big windows looking at snow covered deck furniture. Probably no one else does that but me. So, but just if you are like me, just FYI, that's a good thing to think of before it snows. So lighting,
For
go.
lighting, I mean, I couldn't agree more with what Megan said about put string lights, and anywhere you can get power, run a set of string lights. It just immediately feels like you are on vacation. And then also, though, in a more practical way, lighting for, people who are coming to see the house at night. Do you have well-lit pathways? Is there a motion light that'll go on when somebody pulls in the driveway? Just things like that, which also is, again, important if there's areas of your home that you're not normally using for access. Just thinking about lighting in those areas.
I think that maybe the last thing that I can say here, because we're through our list, is just that landscaping plant stuff takes a while. So you don't want to be like if you have like a big muddy patch in your lawn, like and you want to sell your home, like this is when you're going to want to use sod instead of seed and hay, because sod will look like grass, but again, you still don't want to even do that like 3 days before a photo shoot, because it'll have like lines and look weird. So it's like, this is also something to talk to your agent about, is like, what should I do now? Because some stuff really tears up the ground and makes it look terrible, even if it's in the interest of it looking better. Because I look at when I first came and looked at my first house that had hay all around it, I remember calling the agent and being like, they're going to have to put grass in. Like, they can't just have like hay, like strewn all around the house. That looks ridiculous. And he's like, oh, so you put seed in, put hay on top of that, and then the grass grows. And I was like, okay, whatever. I don't know, So I think that is something to think about, is like, don't maybe take on optional projects that are going to make your house look worse before it looks better, or like weigh the pros and cons at least.
And that's a way to think about it also, if you're thinking about selling in the next like 6 to 12 months, or the next 12 to 3 years, 12 months to 3 to 5 years is about.
And if you don't know when you want to sell, this is the moment to plant those small, fast growing pine trees in the area that you think someone would want them. Because there's so many things where I'm like, why didn't I do that 6 years ago? It just, and it takes 3 years pretty much for a new garden to get established. Like, even for, all of this takes longer than I want it to. So, this is where, the time frame really does make a difference in terms of what you can do and your budget, and what you want to do. So, I think we got everything. Does anybody have any questions? Or are you all fully overwhelmed?
Everybody's ready to go throw
Take a
their
nap.
shovel away.
I was like, no, they're ready to be like, no, take a nap. Nap time. And again, I think that the important thing to say is that this is very specific to each home, to your situation, to what you want to do. Maybe you even have the budget, but don't have like the mental capacity, or like, like time, stress available to deal with some exterior projects. So I think that these are all the things that we balance out. And actually, one thing I should say is that sometimes if people don't have the time, or they're selling their house in winter, we just did this for our listing in Woodland Valley. We made a rendering of what the home would look like black, because we thought that's what a lot of people would want to paint it, and we got a quote from a painter. So that we really prepared, and we told agents that, and we told, that was something we said, is like, if you want to paint it black, there's already a quote for that. So that's the same thing with fencing, or a lot of things. There's a lot of things we can do to kind of be like, this isn't done yet, but picture it this way. So
one question that came in is about staging, which I think is going to be part of the second part of this, and is absolutely part of what we talk about when we come out to do a listing appointment with you, is different ways to work on the inside. And if that involves light staging or actually staging it.
I think that, and staging could, if we're talking just about staging, might be its own, we might want to do a whole topic on that too, because we do a lot of virtual staging on our team. So if you look at all of our stage photos, actually it's only virtual staging, because we cover way too big of an area, and it's too hard to get stuff, everywhere. Although if Scott has his way, our new marketing person here, you know, we may.
When I think about staging though, I'm often thinking about staging with what's
Their
already
existing
there.
stuff.
Yeah, and just sort of bringing in a fresh set of eyes and saying, you have all the great stuff, like, let's just give it a little zhuzh.
Yeah. Katie, there's a question of, we have a Tudor house, tips on giving it a more modern look. I don't think you can. I mean, well, I think you can give it a well-maintained, considered look, you know, but Tudors are charming in their own way, you
I'm gonna
know?
say, let the Tudor be the Tudor, shine as a Tudor.
Yeah.
But yeah, like landscaping, super tidy appearance out front. You could throw a fun color front door in there.
Actually, and this is where I feel like for Tudor houses, farmhouses, historical homes, there's a British real estate company called the Modern House. What they're called? Modern House, the Modern House. And I mean, they literally have the most stunning homes and like home photography. So I would go there and look for some design inspiration for the exteriors, because they for sure have like real Tudor houses that they're selling for bajillions of dollars, you know? So I do think you could have a Tudor house with some modern door numbers and like Katie said, like a fun front door. But yeah, it's same thing with a farmhouse. Doesn't need to look modern. It just needs, I think, here's how I would say it. It needs to look like someone thought about the design in 2022. That's a better way to put it. Like that someone in 22 was thinking about the design of the home and not like in 1990s or like whatever. So it doesn't have to be modern, but it has to be, how are we interpreting Tudor now or farmhouse now or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, kitchens. We're definitely going to do kitchens in the next one. So yeah, we'll just keep doing it, man. We'll do these all day long. We'd love to talk about this stuff. Yeah. So the next session, which is in 2 weeks, so March 24th, I believe, is going to be the interior. So we're going to be doing the interior, but then if these are popular and people like, we can have a whole session on kitchens. We probably should. We could have a whole session on bathrooms. We probably should. Like we can do these intro ones and then break them down by what people want to talk about. And, you know, even bring in some like photos and some before and afters to get really jazzy. So,
and if you're thinking about selling, we can do this one-on-one in your house.
Yeah,
is exactly the kind of conversation we love to have with people who are thinking about selling.
and also just, you know, this is also where so there's about 20 people on the team now, and there are 3 dedicated listing agents, about 10 dedicated buyers agents. This is where the collaborative nature of our team is really helpful. So sometimes the listing agents will be like, hey, these sellers are thinking about about painting their house. It's going to cost this much. It's going to add they'll have to wait X amount of time before they list it. What do you guys think? Is it going to be worth it or not? And then the buyer's agents really chime in and say like, nah, don't worry about it. It's fine as is. Or like, hell yes, they have to paint this house. Otherwise no one's going to want it. Yeah. So this is, it's helpful. So who are the people selling in the Hudson Valley and where are they going? Well, our clients are also, the sellers are also largely weekend people. And they are going out of, a lot of people are going out of state, like they're moving to California or Austin or wherever. Sometimes people are just selling because they, you know, they're retiring. Sometimes it's an estate sale. Some people we had people who bought smaller homes as weekend houses have moved up here full time and then, you know, want to find a bigger home and sell their smaller home. So they do stay in the area, but there are some that stay in the area, but it's kind of a hodgepodge. And again, our audience is a very specific one. So, you know, it is largely people with the second home. So anyone else? I will say also though, if you are a seller and you're concerned about that our buyer's agents are like magicians essentially for finding homes for people at different price points. And, you know, this is easier when people are flexible with location, because we do like keep an eye on what are the great houses in like across the whole area. Although we really do we focus on Ulster, Dutchess, Sullivan, Green, Columbia. that's kind of our like core area. But we absolutely go out much further as well in every direction. So we are on the buyer side, they're good at looking for bad photos, like weird things that like so houses that are flying under the radar. So they are like, the buyer's agents are going past that first photo all the time. So if a house looks weird on the outside, they're checking it to see like if it's like a gem on the inside. So that they really, really are good at finding things, I have to say, and at winning multiple offer situations. We have a lot of shared knowledge on how to do that. So yeah, well, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. And we're actually going to post Alyssa's house. I'm going to post that on Instagram either today or tomorrow, so everybody can vote on what color we think her house should be, which is also like a fun thing we can do for clients. So yeah, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Katie, thank you so much. This was so fun with you. Oh my God.
Thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Megan.
I know. So, all right. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye.